Now, from practical takeaways on the Philippine threat landscape, we now zero in on best practices in convergence, cloudification, and zero trust through actual learnings by the PLDT Group. Let's all pay attention to our next session as I call on the Cybersecurity Evangelist, Customer Field CISO of PLDT Enterprise, Alexis Bernardino.
Low, sound check. Good morning, everyone. Hello, yeah, okay. How are you doing today, guys? Good? So day one of Digicon is exciting yesterday, and day two, because of the Tech Leadership Forum, it will be exciting. Welcome to every one of you who chose this track, bridging the divergence between cyber risk management. And thank you for attending the session today. So I just want to look back on the agenda for today. So first and foremost, I would like to thank Dean Michelle and Colonel Fontiveros for gracing the occasion. So Dean Michelle, we've been speaking together in cybersecurity awareness campaign of AIM and PLDT. First time I speak alongside with Colonel Fontiveros today. But what I want the audience to notice is that when we were crafting this track, we want you to have a full perspective of cybersecurity. So Dean Michelle came from the academe, so we'll have the academe perspective of cybersecurity. Colonel Fontiveros came from our military, AFP, right? So no one could speak best about the threat landscape than Colonel Fontiveros. So they say now that the AFP is not only protecting the three main territories, land, sea, and air, but there's a fourth territory which they are now protecting now, which is the cyberspace. And now, on the next 20 minutes, I will give essence to what Prof. Michelle discussed, will give substance to what Colonel Fontiveros discussed about the threat by sharing to you actual use case of PLDT Group in terms of our journey to digital transformation. Okay? So when I was choosing a topic, a title for my presentation, so I choose this: Adapting to the Disruptive Paradigm Shift. So I want to step back to the Digicon objective of really engaging our customers, our partners, you guys in the IT community in terms of your digital transformation. And now, seeing you here, you sit on this track, there's only one meaning of that, right? You didn't miss the point of what's important factor in digital transformation, which is cyber security. So you cannot go on to your digital transformation journey without undermining or downplaying or even discriminating cyber security. Okay? So I want to start my presentation by giving you a perspective. Usually start and end my presentation with a perspective. So it says here, it takes 20 years to build a reputation, but a few minutes of cyber incident to ruin it. Very relatable in terms of cybersecurity. I totally agree with this quote because more than the impact of operational disruption in any organization due to a successful breach in your infrastructure, it is the reputational damage that is more catastrophic in any cyber incident. The host a while ago said, in the landscape today, it's no longer a question of if your organization is going to be breached or attacked or how your organization is going to be breached or attacked. It's a matter of when. And you need to understand that when an organization got breached, we do not know if we will still recover from a cyber attack. Now, moving forward, this is the disruptive paradigm shift that I was talking about. So Prof. Michelle gave you a purview of what cybersecurity is in the perspective of the academe, coincide also with the threat landscape that Colonel Fontiveros gave you. Now, on the actual practitioner in the industry like PLDT Group, we are a telecommunications company. No more complicated network, I should say, than what we have in a telco environment. So this is what we are experiencing right now. And most of the enterprise customers are also moving to this one. So what are these three? Number one is convergence, right? So we want to consolidate all our assets, all our processes, all our system together in one. No more building of siloed infrastructure, right? So next is cloudification. So more often than not, most of the customers like you, partners like our vendor, are all moving to the cloud, right? For an obvious reason of scalability is number one. Number two is adaptability to the applications that you are running on your companies or your organization. And finally, zero trust. So this is where security plays an important factor in terms of your transitioning from your old system to your new digital environment, right? So that means only that cybersecurity should be anchored on this digital transformation. Now, moving forward, this is the use case that I want to share with you. So most of you are technical here, I believe, so you would understand this. So when I started in the PLDT group, I was given a hard task, because I started as the head of architecture and engineering. I was on the defender side when I started in PLDT. I was given by our group CISO a hard job of, Alex, I need you to design an architecture which will protect the whole PLDT group from any cyber breach or attack. So I was thinking that time, we have a very huge infrastructure in terms of our fixed network, which is PLDT, our mobile company, which is Smart, moreover, our internal IT and corporate system. So how I slice and dice it is represented in this diagram. So I started anchoring it, the digital transformation of PLDT Smart into cybersecurity. So we started by the basic network segmentation. So we need to identify the zones that we are operating in. For example, public zone, the one facing the internet, public access zone, the one accessing from external to internal, the operational zone where our systems are operating. But what I want to highlight here is what we call the highly restricted zone. Now, on this diagram, you should see that what the strategy we take in as point to Colonel Fontivero's message a while ago is the identification of the threat landscape, the attack entry points, and putting in security control in it, right? So the ones in red, you could observe, these are the threats particular to that part of infrastructure. But by doing the convergence side of it, we have evolution and roadmap in terms of how we converge the systems within PLDT and Smart. So before, the telco network in PLDT is building their own infrastructure, supporting their own services, supporting their own products. Same with Smart. They are building their own infrastructure, building their own system, building their own processes. Now, when we implemented the cybersecurity component of that, we now consolidated it. The network now is being consolidated with the IT portion of it. The same thing that Smart and PLDT is being consolidated in one huge network that could support both mobile and the fixed network, plus our cloud and IT services. So this one is part of our transformation as well. We are transforming our internal IT infrastructure. So you could see we have a lot of migration to the cloud that is happening. So this is what happens now. You are transitioning from an old technology or legacy technology moving to a new one. So what does it entail? It entails the opening up of a larger attack surface. So meaning you are exposing yourselves to the vulnerabilities and threats that could possibly cause a breach in your infrastructure. Now, knowing your critical assets, right? Knowing the threats that is possible to be able to cause you a breach. Now you put in the controls. So this is how we put the controls in. So you could observe the most critical asset that we have, we put it on our highly restricted zone, right? So we put it all the controls in there on tier 1. So you have to understand that this is a journey as well, right? So it's not a one-year thing. You need to do a multi-year strategy to be able to fully implement your digitalization plan and of course anchored to cybersecurity, right? So after 4 years in PLDT Smart, so we implemented all of this, all of the controls that are in place. You know about, anti-DDoS, the tier 2 firewall, the cloud security, the security operations center, the MFA, all of it, name it. We came it to a maturity level that we optimize the security control. But again, we are not yet confident that, we are not vulnerable to any breach, right? Now, I further escalated that reference architecture to this new one, right? So I identified the domain. So this is what you should be looking at, all of the organizations, right? So you could see that there are different domains in cybersecurity that you need to cover. During our first year, we baseline ourselves. Where are we at in terms of our cybersecurity posture? So this is what we found out. We are not strong in infrastructure as a service. We are just medium in software as a service because we don't have yet visibility of the shadow IT, right? We don't have any in terms of database activity and monitoring. But bottom line, this is the end state that we want to have. We need it to all green, right? Meaning it is fully optimized, fully managed, right? So after 4 years, we came to this maturity state already in terms of our group practice in cybersecurity. But what I want to highlight here is that you can never, take note of this, discriminate any portion of this one. Because if and when, for example, you are just fortifying your perimeter security, right? So you're very good in this. But, you were breached on your application side, right? So what's the use of your perimeter security if at one point on your domain, you will be breached somewhere else? So it will be useless as well, right? But it's a matter of prioritization in terms of implementation, right? So what's the most critical asset to you at the moment? The most critical asset that if a successful cyber breach happened could have a catastrophic effect in your organization. That's the first thing that you need to protect. And others could follow, okay? Next, the operation framework. Framework are very important in terms of cybersecurity implementation. But what I want to highlight here is what we're doing in PLDT Smart is we are getting away from the usual preventive and detective stuff and moving to predictive and responsive. This is the proactive cybersecurity approach. You are predicting a threat before even it sets foothold to your infrastructure. And more importantly, you are able to respond when a cyber breach happens. As a matter of fact, we are practicing that internally to PLDT Group. We are attacking our own infrastructure. We have a baseline numbers that we got by doing so. We call it Cyber D-Day. We send an actual attack to our network to see and test if the controls are working properly. And number two, how would our team respond? And we got the baseline. The baseline is, in less than 5 minutes, our cybersecurity operation group should have been respond to an attack. They should have been mitigated, block it, etc. Okay? Next, this is our approach in terms of cybersecurity. The middle of it is intelligence, right? I will not discuss about the expertise. We need it. Colonel Fontiveros talk about the skill set. Why is people important in cybersecurity? Framework, I discuss it. Technology and tools, important in cybersecurity. But this is the key trust that you should have. Number one is full visibility. This is very inevitable in cybersecurity because you cannot protect what you do not know and what you do not see. You should have full visibility on all your assets because all of those assets could be possible attack entry points. Number two, accelerated response. When a cyber breach happened to your organization, how fast could you respond? How fast could your team mitigate the attack or block the attack? You need to know that. You cannot just, sit down and relax and wait for an attack to happen and just react when the attack already happened to your organization. Next is swift recovery. Of course, it will have an operational impact to your business. Like for example, in PLDT Smart, the prepaid system that I put on my HRZ, if that went down for about an hour, we are losing 45 million pesos per hour. So you need to have a backup recovery plan when a cyber attack happened to you. Okay? The mindset, paranoia, and vigilance. This is what, the military mindset of Colonel Pontiveros is, teaching us in the private sector. That you always need to have a mind of paranoia. Everything could happen. A breach could happen anytime. You are operating on an assumed breach mode, as if a breach already happened to you, right? 24/7 monitoring, investigation, and reporting. That is also important as a key thrust in your cybersecurity journey towards your digitalization. Now, this is how we are doing it in PLDT Smart. We have our own security operation center. This is the heart and soul of our cybersecurity operation. So we have commercial threat intel feeds coming from the US, Europe, China, name it. We have also threat intelligence coming from the deep dark web. We are collating all of that on this what we call threat intelligence database. So what's the significance of that? This is on the predictive side. We are predicting the threat. So if an attack happens somewhere else in the world, it is in our database as an indicator of compromise. It could be blacklisted IP, URL, hashes, etc. It will be automatically blocked on our security control. So that's how we are doing proactive response, right? We have that threat intelligence database. And finally, this is the value that we have putting in the table for customers like you. So I've not discussed that, but what I want to say that security is no longer an option. It's already a must in any organization or in any group of people who are doing business, right? And finally, I want to end my slide by using our chairman's quote. Again, on another perspective, related to Digicon boundless, right? So when you heard the word boundless, what does it mean? For me, it's about no boundaries. The possibilities are limitless, right? So I want to end this by sharing this, the message from our chairman MVP. He said in one of our executive sessions, it's either we pivot or we perish. Do you agree on that? In this fast-changing world, in terms of digitalization, we have no option but to adapt. To adapt, but make sure that if we transition to this new paradigm shift, we also cover a very important aspect of that transformation journey, which is securing through cybersecurity practice. Thank you very much. I hope you learned some insights today.